Did you know the key to vibrant health and sustainable living is closer than you think? Welcome to the Nassau Health Food Store Organic Living Podcast, your weekly guide to Amelia Island's best-kept organic living secret. Brought to you by Nassau Health Food Store by Steve Adams. This podcast is here to help you discover farm-fresh produce, holistic wellness tips, and practical ways to live a healthier, more natural life. All right, here on beautiful Amelia Island, whether you're a longtime local or new to the island, we are here to inspire you to embrace organic living. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of Amelia Island's Organic Living Secrets. And if you're ready to experience the organic difference, visit us at Nassau Health Food Store in Amelia Island. Your body and the planet will thank you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Organic Living Secrets podcast. My name is Steve Adams, the owner of Nassau Health Foods, and I'm with Dr. Daniel Kessler, who is also located on Amelia Island. He's a frequent visitor in the store. He's also involved in the store with me, and we're excited to bring this podcast to you today. Dr. Kessler, welcome.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me today.
Yes. So the topic today is how toxins shorten your health span. Dr. Kessler, just for anyone, because this is our first one where you're the guest, and I'm excited because you're going to be the guest frequently, like weekly. Can you give them a little bit of background to people on the island who are hearing this that maybe don't know your background? You've had some very unique training, and I think it would be good for people to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, this will be a very positive experience for the listeners. We're not going to try to scare anybody here. But part of my training after I came to the United States almost 30 years ago from my native Germany, after I did my undergrad in chemistry at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, I was very fortunate to work at the Centers for Disease Control, also in Atlanta, Georgia, and specifically at the National Center for Environmental Health. And my specific duties, my job description was to analyze people's blood and serum for the presence of toxins. And we did this worldwide. It was included also, of course, the American samples we received from nationwide populations, but also from the rest of the world. And unfortunately, no matter how old somebody is, if you're a baby all the way up to the geriatric age, all of us do have toxins within our body. And interestingly, the CDC brings out studies and reports every few years to share with the American population which are the most common toxins. And today, I want to share with the audience some practical tips, most importantly, how we can reduce these hidden loads and some of the danger to make sure that we live healthier.
Yeah. Well, then after that, you went to med school, and then you had an opportunity to work at the Mayo Clinic. You want to talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I decided not to be a so-called lab rat my entire life and decided to follow in my parents' footsteps. My father, my mom had a very large medical clinic in Northern Europe for many, many years, 40 plus years. And I was fortunate after I did my medical school training at Nova Southeastern in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to then join the prestigious Mayo Clinic here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I did my training there in general family medicine and have been part of the Jacksonville community and the Amelia Island community now, ever since 2006.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk about what are the most common toxin burdens that you see as a person. You work with a lot of high-level patients. You have worked with a lot of people over the last 20 years now. Yeah, 20 years this year. What do you see? Because you hear the words PFAS, you hear about mold, you hear about mercury, things like that. Why don't you walk us through the things that are common?
Yeah, I think, so let's talk about first, why are we really having this discussion to begin with? I think I think that in medical school, we are very well trained into recognizing symptoms, and based on certain symptoms, we then can name certain diseases, and then there are treatments, and fortunately, that oftentimes involve also medicines and sometimes
Hmm.
procedures. And we do a great job in the American healthcare system for these acute situations. If
Yep.
somebody has a heart attack, for example, we can intervene quickly. But over the last, 20 plus years of being a doctor, I've come into countless situations where people didn't feel well. And oftentimes their blood levels were okay, or maybe a few things were off and they were not given answers. And then when you mentioned that I worked, with patients, I discovered many times that if we dug a little bit deeper, that certain
Hmm.
toxins were present. And I refer to this as the so-called hidden load within our system. Our body can adapt very well to certain types of stress.
Hmm.
Um, but there are certain hidden things that most doctors don't always think about and ask the patients. I think when we talk about toxins, which is such a dangerous word, we want to divide that into man-made toxins
Hmm.
and toxins that are also produced within our body, toxicants, for example. So here, we can divide toxins into infectious toxins. So if somebody gets, for example, the flu,
Yep.
flu season is really high right now again, or somebody gets a viral infection like COVID or perhaps food poisoning, then these infections produce toxins, which then make us not feel well.
Right.
But if you ask people how often they get sick with certain infections, some people get sick more often. Then they want to know, why am I so susceptible?
Hmm.
And oftentimes, having this hidden load within you is common. So, for example, every day our body can encounter thousands of synthetic chemicals that didn't exist a century ago.
Right.
And what we need your listeners and our listeners to really understand is that most of these exposures will not cause immediate harm, but chronic low-level exposure can sometimes accumulate even over decades, and that can contribute to things like inflammation.
Hmm.
It can disrupt hormones, and it can even quietly affect your health span and affect the years that you're supposed to live in good health.
Yeah.
But what's really nice, what I want to share with our listeners here are some practical tips that I want to share, that we are really in control. We are actually more in control than people think. And sharing these small, consistent changes can really help you meaningfully reduce this toxic burden.
Okay.
Does
So
that
real
sound?
quick, yeah, it sounds good. One thing I wanted to share, I'm going to have you expand on is this concept of health span. The the statistics are in the U.S., whether you're male or female, between 77 and 80 years is lifespan, but health span is about age 66. And there's about 11 to 13 years there where people are chronically ill. Can you unpack what health span is for our audience?
Yeah, I think that the key thing really is that our body is very good in adapting to certain environmental triggers.
Hmm.
And the difference between health span and lifespan is really, I think that the key thing here is really that sometimes people may feel okay, but all the blood work is good. But then, when doctors really look at someone, they can say, you know what, we have to go a little bit deeper
Right.
because your health is really not what you think it is. And I think that what a lot of people do wrong is they wait sort of for something bad to happen. And then when something bad happens, and the question is, why didn't I know about this sooner?
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah. Right.
something is there something that I could have done? And this is really the key. What I want to share here today, Steve, is there are 3 to 4 areas I want to share with our listeners.
Yeah.
uh,
Okay. Go ahead.
some practical tips.
Yeah.
Um, so, for example, when we look into our homes, then what do we do? Where do we spend most of our time? And a lot of our time is spent in our kitchen, for example. And one of the most, this is actually very pertinent, is food. Food really matters because food has been really identified as one of the most toxic drugs out there. And everybody knows that sugar is really the number one toxin, right? I mean, how many people have pre-diabetes, diabetes, and other things?
Right.
And just a few days ago, even the government now made a change to the infamous food pyramid, where now the food pyramid is switched, where we want to incorporate less grains, more, healthy fats, healthy proteins. So, but when we talk about cooking, you mentioned the store. In the store, there are wonderful options for organic food items, but in the kitchen, also the cookware matters.
Yeah. Yep.
And rethinking plastic storage, for example. So when we look at cookware, a lot of people have heard that if you have non-stick pans that people use to cook, then these can oftentimes release certain toxins. And I know you mentioned PFAS earlier, so these perfluorinated compounds, that's a mouthful, but certain chemicals, when they get overheated or scratched, then these can be released even more. And when, we get exposed to that, they can certainly accumulate. So some of the solutions there could be perhaps to switch over to stainless steel pans, for example. Now,
wooden
if you
utensils instead of black plastic. Yeah, right.
Right. And then when it comes to plastic, we all know the plastic burden on our planet is tremendous. But just a few years ago, I believe it was actually last year, there was also a study released that actually now for the first time confirmed, this was actually published in the Journal of American Medical Association, where plastic particles have been identified within the arteries of our body, specifically the neck area. And a lot of us who have been in this space have known this for a long time, but now people are catching up. So if we think about plastic, definitely you want to be aware that heat oftentimes can accelerate chemical migration from plastic into food. So never microwave in plastic containers, even when you see stuff like labeled microwave safe. Always use more like glass containers, ceramic. So if you have leftovers, transfer them into glass or ceramic containers, for example.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk to you about something important. Have you ever stood in the grocery aisle overwhelmed by choices, wondering which products are truly good for you and the planet? In today's world, it's becoming increasingly difficult to find food that's not only nutritious, but also ethically sourced and environmentally friendly. Many of us want to make healthier choices, but the sheer amount of conflicting information out there can be paralyzing. Every day you delay making the switch to organic, you're potentially exposing yourself and your loved ones to harmful pesticides and GMOs. Not to mention you're missing out on the superior taste and nutritional benefits of organic produce. The longer we collectively hesitate, the more damage is done to our health and our planet. That place is Nassau Health Food Store. We've done the hard work for you, curating the best organic and natural products so you don't have to second-guess your choices. From farm fresh produce to pantry staples, from supplements to natural beauty products, we've got everything you need to live your healthiest, most natural life. Visit us today and experience the peace of mind that comes with shopping at Nassau Health Food Store at Amelia Island. Your body, your taste buds, and the planet will thank you. We're located at 833 TJ Courson Rd, Fernandina Beach, Florida 32034, United States. We're open Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Can't make it to the store? Check out our online shop at www.nassauhealthfood.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Nassau Health Food Store podcast. Until next time, eat well, live naturally, and stay healthy.